Hello and welcome to another episode of Run with Benny. I'm Chris, and today I want to tell you about 6 mistakes that I have learned from that can take away from your enjoyment of running. The first mistake is do not walk in your running shoes. A friend of mine, when he goes traveling, takes one pair of shoes. He travels very, very light. Those shoes are for walking in all day long and also for running in. And I personally can't think of much worse. Why? 2 reasons. The first reason is that the best kinds of running shoes are just too squishy for walking. The foam that they use is made to squish down quite a lot and to spring you back up, and that is made for the running action. But actually the walking action is really different from that. So, for example, these Adidas Evo SLs are sold as fashion shoes and as running shoes. But actually, I can confirm they kind of suck to walk in. They're very, very squishy. And if you walk in them a lot during the day, you feel a little bit like you're getting very sore on the bottom of your feet, like almost as if you're getting blisters developing simply because your feet squash into the sponge so much. And the second reason is that when you're walking a lot in running shoes, as you might do when you're on holidays, for example, walking around a city, you're taking thousands and thousands of steps every single day in your running shoes, and you're actually landing quite differently. The way your foot lands when you walk is very different to the way your foot lands when you run. And so you're wearing out your shoes in different places. Essentially, you're kind of wearing them into the wrong shape, if that makes sense. So my advice is to draw a very clear line between your running shoes and your walking shoes and never cross that line. And actually, before we move on to point number 2, I'd love to know, how do you pack your shoes when you go away? I'm going to be packing in the next week or 2 for a trip, and I would love to know, what do you do? Are you a one-shoe wearer when you go away? Do you just pack one pair of shoes for running in, or do you take your entire rotation? Feel free to comment below. The second mistake, and probably the one that I still struggle with the most, is don't run fast all the time. Now, there is a whole lot of science behind this, and I'd like to run you through the research project that really convinced me that I have to run more slowly. And actually, this morning, I went out for a 12-kilometer run, and I did it a lot more slowly than I usually would because of the evidence that came from this research. Now, this peer-reviewed study, which was part of the Copenhagen City Heart Study, which actually ran for about 14 years, I think, it specifically investigated the relationship between jogging and mortality by focusing specifically on the effects of pace, quantity, and frequency of jogging. It looked at 1,098 healthy joggers and 3,950 healthy non-joggers, and they were studied for a very long period. It was actually from 2001 to 2014, so this was a long-term study. The researchers discovered lots of fascinating facts. One was that 1 to 2.4 hours of jogging per week was associated with the lowest mortality. But most interesting was the fact that the optimal pace was slow or average. And when joggers were divided into light, moderate, and strenuous joggers, the lowest hazard ratio for mortality was found in light joggers and the highest in strenuous joggers. In other words, those with the least chance of life-threatening heart conditions were those that jogged slowly. Why is this? The researchers said that slow running has all the benefits of fast running, but it does it without as much stress and without as much potential for injury. So you recover faster, you can run more, and you probably enjoy your runs more because you're not having to push yourself so hard. That lack of stress, the researchers said, and this is where my understanding runs out a little bit, means that your health is boosted at the molecular level. They say that this means your body's energy system is recharged during the exercise rather than exhausted. And this, in the end, makes your body much healthier and much more capable of battling disease. So how cool is that? Running slow really is better for you than running fast. Now, running fast isn't a terrible thing. It's not bad. In the study, it was proven that anybody who was running, whether it was slow or fast, had much better chances of a long and healthy life than people who did not do regular exercise. So get out there and enjoy running really slowly. It is very, very good for you. And this actually relates pretty closely to point number 3, which is do not run with somebody who turns every run into a race. Yes, this is partly to do with the fact that running slowly is good for you, as we've already discussed. discussed, but it's also because you want to run happy. And that's kind of what this channel's all about, is how do we actually run happy? Not long ago, a friend of mine almost dropped out of training for a marathon because he was training with somebody who turned every run into a race, who kept running off ahead of him and making every run quite exhausting. That, of course, made him feel rubbish. He wasn't enjoying his running, and he got to the stage where he just didn't really want to do it anymore. And of course, when you're training for a marathon, you have to enjoy your running because that's all you do. That's all you're doing for months. It feels like all you're doing is running. So if you're not enjoying it, why do it in the first place? Fortunately, eventually he got back into his groove by getting rid of his hero mate and running at his own pace. Before we move on to point number 4, I'd be thrilled if you're getting anything out of this video if you could tap like and subscribe. It really does help this young channel a lot. Thank you so much. Point number 4, don't wear cotton socks. Now, I know we've covered this in a past video, so I won't spend too long on it today, but there are lots of reasons that you should wear running socks as opposed to cotton sports socks. One is that cotton socks collect moisture, so they cause blisters. 2 is that cotton socks bunch up, therefore they cause blisters. 3 is that cotton socks stretch and do not recover from that stretch. So the longer you run, the more they stretch, the baggier they become on your foot and in your shoe, and they cause blisters. So even if those sports socks have an Adidas logo on them, this is Benny's old ones, or a Nike swoosh or whatever it might be, please choose running socks instead. Grab a pair of running socks that are made from synthetic fibers, that hold on really tight to your foot, that feel like a second skin, and that move moisture away from your foot. There are lots and lots of good brands out there. I really enjoy wearing Belega socks. Also, I've got lots and lots of Features socks. These are probably my favorites. There are lots of running brands out there. Find out what works best for you. And I promise that when you wear running socks once, you will not go back to the saggy, baggy cotton ones. Number 5 is a real quickie. Please do not wear underwear under your compression tights or shorts. Compression gear is made to work against your body. It's made to work with your skin. Wearing cotton underwear under your compression gear is going to get in the way, and not in a very good way. It's going to cause chafing in places you really don't want it. This one's just as important for the guys and the girls. Nothing takes enjoyment out of running quite like chafing. So please don't wear those cotton undies under your compression gear. And finally, number 6 is please don't forget the why. Why is it that you are running? To really enjoy running, I find it pays to constantly remind myself of my deep and personal reasons that I run. This time I'm not talking about general health or weight loss. That's the sort of reasons that we all have for running. I'm talking about a deeper, more individual, more unique purpose. It usually has something to do with your relationships or your life goals or something like that. I actually have an episode planned around the concept of the purpose of your running. If you wouldn't mind sharing your personal purpose in terms of why you run, please comment below and then I'll be able to include that in a future episode in the next few weeks. I'd love to have case studies other than my own to talk about during that episode. But I guess my point is, when you're lacing up your shoes, or at least for me, I do it when I'm lacing up my shoes, use that action of lacing up your shoes to remind yourself of why you run. Remind yourself of the deep purpose of your run. That gets you in the right headspace, I think, to then go out and really enjoy the run and go out and either work hard or run slow or whatever it is you've got planned for that day. So that's it for this week. I hope you've got something out of this episode. Please remember to like and subscribe if you could. It really does help this channel a lot. Until next week, run slow, wear running socks, and run happy. I'll see you soon.